All right, y'all, we are live on this beautiful Monday morning. God bless everybody in the name of Jesus, Yeshua, the Messiah. Even if you are not religious, I still pray that you and your family are blessed in many, many ways. As right now, the Bitcoin price is gearing up for a major move. This week is key, as it says in the title of the video. You don't want to miss, so make sure to like the stream. As usual, if we can get 1,000 likes within the first half hour, we will be giving away 1,000 USDT, baby. $1,000 giveaway. All you got to do is like the video. As the Bitcoin price, guys, is currently struggling to reclaim 105.8, the very important value area high. One of our line in the sand levels here. And, yeah, we're going to be talking about the monthly close. We're going to be talking about the weekly close. We're going to be talking about the key levels and the different scenarios that we need to be aware of. As you can see, we've got a red arrow and a green arrow on the chart here, looking at a potential trading idea as the price is struggling to reclaim this very key level. Have to give a major shout out to everybody in chat right now. First of all, shout out to Lucy P. Shout out to Tin Can Poker. Shout out to Preparing for War. God bless you, my brother. Shout out to A Beer. God bless you, bro. Shout out to Alex Otique. That will change your life. Shout out to HFG. God bless you, my brother. Shout out to Jazz Tech. What's up, gang? Crypto Plumber. What's going on? Shout out to Robert Harold. Shout out to Crypto Gardenist and ESKR. Shout out to Ivan CX and Dave Roy. Look like Bitcoin short. Major shout out to Jackson Crawford, yo, 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 and Z-Boss. What's going on, Z-Boss? Crypto Prof. It won't take anything for clicking the like button. Absolutely. Shout out to K Glay. ETH is struggling. Shout out to Tomo. Good morning, Jason. Shout out to Stefan Man. Hey, y'all. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Shout out to Boss in the chat and Dylan VA. Shout out to King Andrew 900 Super Duper Cycle. We did ask a question this morning in the live chat. Is the bull run over? Interestingly, 40% say no, almost 30% say yes, 20% say the super cycle is just beginning, and 13% are unsure. 13% are unsure. Guys, we got to give a major shout out, first of all, to the Casper Crew VIP Discord, because the short trade from the exact top was given in advance in the Casper Crew VIP Discord, as well as the long trade given in advance from $86,000 given in advance. Would you look at that? And the juiciest profits still have not closed my longs, guys. Also got to give a shout out to BLOFIN, currently offering 20% cash back. Everything you deposit into your futures account, that's a legitimately good bonus. And we got to give a major shout out to ANTARCTIC. Lowest fees, period. If you use my link, 0.015% market order, 0% limit order. Got to give a shout out to WEEX as well. Lowest fees on a centralized exchange here. As the Bitcoin price is struggling after this weekend, kind of this channel to reclaim key areas of resistance. All right, this yellow line I have on my chart here, 105.8, this is the macro value area high of the range. What that means is, historically speaking, ever since Trump has won the election, anything above this level is considered overpriced. And historically speaking, when we come above 105.8, we get a correction back down into the range. And so far, we are seeing some very interesting developments here as we are struggling, about to open a new week of trading and a new month of trading. So smash the likes. As usual, if we get 1,000 likes, we'll be giving away 1,000 USDT. All right, now let's discuss this Bitcoin price action. We're going to come over to the chart. Very important chart. Very important time. Very important developments. This is crazy, actually. And I'm not saying this to be sensational, but this is probably, guys, this is honestly most likely one of the most important times in the cycle, the 4-year cycle. Okay. So, let's begin with just laying down the facts of the chart. Bitcoin in a major uptrend. Major uptrend here. And the way we are characterizing this uptrend is we have a range. This is the weekly chart, by the way. We have a range. And then when we break out of the range, we have a very bullish break above. And the bullish break above leads to a very big weekly candle close. And every time we break out of one of these ranges, we see a big follow through leading to another range. Okay, now I want to talk about a few scenarios here, because unfortunately what's happened here is we try to break out of our range, and what's historically happened here is we get a big weekly candle close, something like this. Something like this. This green line is the previous high, the big weekly pump candle close. All right, this time what has happened is we didn't get that candle close. In fact, we closed 2 weeks below that level. 2 weeks below it. Not the best look for Bitcoin. All right, and on top of this, not only did we close the week below that previous all-time high, but we've closed now a weekly candle below the value area high of the range. Now, as we know, these value areas are very, very important, because if the price is unable to close a candle above the previous all-time high and is now closing weekly candles back inside the value area, it means now the probabilities are quite high that we have a pullback below 100,000 to the high volume node of the range. Or potentially, the final target would be back down to the high 80s. All right, or support resistance flip at the high 80s. All right, probabilities say, having closed that weekly candle, that this is now our target. So, a few other things of concern. When we take a look at the weekly time frame, we are seeing this. All right, as the price is getting higher, failing to break out, we're seeing, and it's not confirmed, it's not even printing, but for the first time here, we have the potential for the cycle top signal to be printing. If you guys remember, as we were trading in this range, I was saying, and even when we were up here, especially when we were up here, I was saying, yes, I know we have a little bit of weekly bearish divergence here, but for me, this is not the cycle top. The cycle top will happen when you get the second drive of bearish divergence with the money flow also getting lower. For the first time in this bull run, we have the potential for that signal to print. And I just want to remind you, the last time that signal printed was the previous all-time high. All right? The last time this pattern happened was right here. Now, we have time before we confirm this red dot. All right, we're right around here, I would say. All right, we're right around this area. So we have probably about 4 weeks before we have to worry about a red dot, which means the month of June is a very telling month. If this red dot prints and confirms, I will have to become quite bearish on Bitcoin, expecting a move probably back down to at least the 70s at first. All right, now let's talk about some bullish. Well, before we talk about bullishness, let's talk about the monthly candle close. People are excited because we have the highest ever monthly candle close in history. But the highest monthly candle close in history is literally a swing failure pattern of the previous all-time high. All right. Now, when we take a look at the previous time Bitcoin printed the highest monthly close in history, it was a very similar situation. Confirmed monthly green dot on Market Cipher B. That was pretty much the top. Now, we did have a little bit of a pump to the upside of about 12%. And so we need to say, okay, there's still the chance that we have a pump to the upside coming up to $120,000, which I hope for. I really do. But one thing is for certain, the chart is looking like the end of the cycle is very near. And I know people don't want to hear that, but this is what the chart is saying. Don't be blinded by emotion. The chart is saying the end is near. And anybody with a rational mind knows that 2025 is the final year of the 4-year cycle. All right? Regardless of whether we hit 250,000 or the top is in, this is the final year, which means we have a few months left, period. All right? So don't be one of those people hanging on to the dream of, this time is the super cycle, it's going to change. No, it's not. It's the same as always. This is the final year of our bull run. And it was a good bull run. All right? And it might continue. I'm not saying the top is in. I'm just saying this is the final year. We have had a 600% gain on Bitcoin. All right? 600%. That's amazing. You know, you got these people with their 401ks making 0.0001%. I thought it was the Antarctic fees, but it was actually the profit people were making on their stupid accounts, and their 401ks, and all those other stupid things old people invest in to try and be smart. Meanwhile, we're here making 600%. I mean, how could you even be upset about that, right? But here's the thing. Again, we don't have to worry about the bearishness until we confirm the red dot. We have time. We might see something like this. Okay, back over here, you can see this momentum wave wanted to start printing a top, but didn't. All right? Also, look at this. Oftentimes, even as we're starting to print a top visibly, we still get more upside, okay? So I'm not saying the top is in here. I'm saying it looks like it's very close. And we need to see, in my opinion, something very bullish happen very quick to prevent the top signals from confirming. Because once they confirm, I am not going to be bullish. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But here's the thing. I trust market Cipher. All right? I was publicly extremely bullish ever since April, right here, at $84,000 when we confirmed a hidden bullish divergence. I was looking for a pump back to the top of the range and a new all-time high. All right? This is documented. I'm not just saying this in hindsight. Go back and watch my last video I made about TA update here. All right? I was very bullish. We had a very bullish signal confirmed. All right, the last time this happened, Bitcoin pumped 100%. And you can see right here, we confirmed the signal. And the Bitcoin price had a move from the low to the high of about 50%. So it's not 100%, but it is 50%. The time before that was down here, where Bitcoin did pump 100%. All right? Now, I just want you guys to see how critical this is, because this would actually be breaking a pattern that we've had from the beginning of the bull market, right? We're looking at patterns to repeat. And the pattern to repeat here is this. We're in this channel, and every time we break the previous all-time high, we get a very bullish candle to start a new channel. I mean, a new range within this channel. All right, so we have to watch for pattern changes here. Not to get ultra bearish. I'm not, like, just hear me out. We're just saying, warning, the handwriting's on the wall. All right? Mene, mene, tekel, ufarsin. Now, let's go to our 3-day time frame. Confirmed bearish div. If the weekly looks like this, right, where the price is making the higher high and the momentum is making the lower high, then I will be bearish. I will be bearish. I will expect the bear market to begin, okay? If the weekly starts to look like that. Now, here's the good news. All right, is there any good news after that? Yes, there's good news. Here's the good news. All right, all this bearishness has happened mostly on a weekend. All right, we go to the daily chart, and we don't lose this value area high until Friday, and then we just spend the weekend below. And oftentimes, weekend price action gets recovered. All right, so we can expect ranging in this area. All right, we don't expect a straight drop down. We would expect ranging. We would expect price to come back above this area. Now, if we can close this week, June is so important now because, look, the sell and may walk away thing. I know it's a cliche, but the reason it's a cliche is because oftentimes it's true, especially even for Bitcoin. All right? But if we do close the week back above 110, then ignore everything I said, because then the weekly won't be printing that bullish, that bearish divergence, and the daily is going to be giving us another trigger wave here. Okay? So the price action is very key. What was I going to say? Crap! I was going to say something. Don't you hate when you do that? Don't you hate when you do that? You have something to say and then you totally forget? Okay, let's talk about previous summer ranges. Let's go back to 2024, where in May, at the end of May, sell in May and walk away. That's literally what happened. We had a very bullish looking chart, but then the summer was extremely bearish. We made another low, and that was in August, and then the fall was very bullish into the winter, okay? 2023, we see a very similar pattern, all right? Sell in May and walk away. Where's May? May, right around here, all right? This is May, and then May is basically from the beginning of May, and then June, get a pump, but then the whole summer bearish until we make that kind of capitulation wick, and then we pump in the fall and the winter. And then even back here, very interestingly enough, when we come to the month of May, May was right over here. This was like the last opportunity in the bear market to sell before, boom, we had a pretty bearish summer. And then honestly, it's my opinion, and you might have a different opinion, but it's my opinion that we would have had a bullish fall if FTX had not gone down. The reason I say that is because this is an anomaly and no other coin really did something like this. Every other coin bottomed out in June and had a bearish grinding summer, and then in the fall start to pump, right? So I know that I'm inserting my own eisegesis into the chart here, but you know, that's just my personal view, that this is just an anomaly. And the pattern of the bearish summer leading to a bullish fall is still a very viable option here. And like I said, 2025 is the last year of the cycle, all right? I am not a believer in the super cycle. I hope I'm wrong. But here's something I've learned in life. When you learn to expect less, you'll be very happy and surprised with more. But if you expect more, you'll be disappointed with less. Alright? If you expect less, you'll be happy with more. If you expect more, you'll be disappointed with less. So, I don't think there's going to be a super cycle. I just don't see that happening. But, if we're not going to have... This week, I think, really is going to be the line in the sand for me. Because if we're closing another week below value area high, I expect a big move to the downside. I expect a bearish and sideways summer, and we're hoping for a bullish fall. All right, now let's discuss how that might look. Now, first of all, I do have to say this. We are coming down to our first support. Okay, let it be known that Bitcoin is coming down to our first major support, and we did get a weekend bounce. Remember, we can't trust weekend price action. But in general, we have the previous range. We have the value area low at around 102.4 and the high volume node at around 103.6. And so there really is a chance here that this bearishness is just a fake out. And then cool, we don't have to worry, all right? But once we lose this, right? Because think about it. What's the pattern here just back from April? The pattern here is we never come back into the previous range, right? Range. We have never come back to the previous range. This is the first pattern break. But if we lose that last range, now we've literally changed market structure. from what was a bull trend, an uptrend, to what is now a bear trend. All right? So, you know, we lose that. That's looking not very good at all. We don't want to see that. Right? So what are some summer options here then? Assuming bearishness and assuming a bull pump in the fall. Well, I'd say this. Our first major target is going to have to be back down to the high 80s, because this is simply trading the range. We had a support. It was flipped into a resistance. Now we've had a breakout with no retest. And we could very, very easily come back to test this level for a bounce at the bottom of the range at the support resistance flip. Now I can already see you guys typing in your keyboards, Jay! This is how you guys sound when I read your comments. Jay! There's no way we're gonna see Bitcoin that low! Right, do you remember all the people back here when we were talking about the low 70s? All the people here that said, Jay, there's no way! There's no way! Alright, but why did we expect that? Because we had this, right? We had this volume gap, fast move up, fast move down. We understood that once we lose this low here, these lows, there's no support. We'll just have a fast move back down for the retest, right? And it's the same here. You have to think to yourself, everybody who's been longing this way up, there's been no danger, there's no risk of liquidation. We never take the lows of the range, okay? And what this does is these lows now are full of stop losses. People who trail their stop losses above the last swing low. People who trail their stop losses here above the last swing lows. Trail their stop losses here. And underneath all these stop losses is a big gap. Which means as we come down here, as we hit these stop losses, boom, 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 it causes price to go down because the stop loss is a sell order. And then there's no volume, so boom, we come all the way down to the next one, right? And then same thing could happen here. We start to trigger stop losses, boom, 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 boom. All right? It could happen very quick. It could happen very quick, guys. And this could be then the place where then we look for that bullish fall. All right? Another option and another possibility is this. Okay? This low down here that we made is not the best looking low for multiple reasons. On our TPO chart, it's a poor low, it's a double bottom. It doesn't look like there wasn't really a lot of interest in buying Bitcoin down at these levels. We just kind of floated up, and it began with a squeeze, right? So, what we could also see is a move all the way back down to the bottom of the range, and then get our move to the upside for a bullish fall. Now, is this crazy? Jason, it could never happen. All right. Well, look at what happened back in 2024. All right. We went from the top of the range, and we actually did take the lows of the range before the bounce. And we go back to 2023. All right. And same deal, was looking bullish. We took the lows of the range before the bounce. So we're looking for patterns here. We're trying to be prepared, right? My favorite way to be prepared is actually by trading with a pack of Depends right next to my desk. Fresh protection to avoid liquidation. Link in the description. 10% back on the dang adult diapers. Drink a small coffee. Pee a large coffee. And I gotta give a major shout to Market Cipher and Crypto Face. All right, so this is another possibility. Now, short term, because this is we're talking months down the road here. We're talking until the end of 2025 scenarios. But what's our next major support? Well, as I had in my chart when I started the stream here, I have this scenario. I think it's pretty likely, so long as Bitcoin is below 105.8, that we're going to see a move down to take the liquidity at $100,000. Okay? Our next support, so long as we're holding below 105.8, all right, such a key level, right? It's such a key level, that's the macro value area high. Then we're probably going to go to take these lows. Okay? It just is most probable. Once we do that, we have changed market structure on like the daily, right? This is our last higher low. If we lose that, we've just made a lower low. Which means then, there's two possibilities. Possibility number one, after you change market structure, you look for now a lower high, okay? You look for a lower high, okay? To take us down even lower, towards $97,000, right? In this situation, I have us coming down toward 97. I'm just talking about taking this low in general, right? You look for a lower high to come in, and you look for a head and shoulders, basically, right? You look for a head and shoulders, and you look to make a lower low, all right? The second scenario is that this is our sideways range. This is just a fake out of the range, and then we look, once we come back up to this area, we look for the break, the back test, and then the pump, all right? So right now, for the next week or so, I'm personally, as long as we're holding below 105.8, looking for us to lose $100,000-ish, come down to 100,000-ish, this last area of liquidity, and then get a bounce. We're going to get a bounce. $100,000 is a very psychologically important level. I expect a bounce. We're coming down to 100,000, dipping into the high 90s. Expect a bounce. Expect a bounce. All right? That bounce is going to be either way, it's going to be an opportunity to make money on a long trade. For example, we got a bounce like this. We're talking 9%. That's nothing to scoff at when you're trading Bitcoin, right? But then we watch very carefully as we come back to 105.8. If we're holding above 105.8 on this bounce, we should expect higher prices. But if we're rejecting from it, and we watch the daily candle come up here and close bearish, then we have to expect the more downside, all right? It's about watching the market structure. The other good news about this so far is that on the daily time frame, there is no bearish change of this structure. On the way up here, we have not officially put in a lower low, right? Not yet. We're still maintaining bullish structure. So the two big things, honestly, to watch out for is, number one, making a lower low, Bitcoin under $100,000, in conjunction with the weekly bearish divergence confirmed. That's the worst thing that could happen for Bitcoin. Bitcoin dipping below 100,000 with no weekly bearish divergence. Okay, that could be just a nice little maintaining of the trend, right? Below $100,000, bounce from support, boom. All right, the weekly plays a little game of whoops, just kidding, like it likes to do, all right? We see the weekly play whoops, just kidding all the time. All right, played whoops, just kidding back here in November 2023. Looked like we were going to form a top here. Whoops, just kidding, ha ha ha. 17% pump, all right? Now, played a game of just kidding over here in October 2024. Looked like a top was going to start printing here. Whoops, just kidding, big pump. All right, so there's still time to play whoops, just kidding. Ha ha ha. All right, you guys ever play that game? Whoops, just kidding, ha 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 ha. Do something really mean to somebody. Whoops, just kidding, ha 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 ha. They're like, well, wait a second, it doesn't quite work like that. You're like, oh, my bad. All right. So yeah, 100,000 is our next support. High volume node, very key. And then, of course, the high 90s. And then the scenario that has happened literally the last 2 years is back down to the bottom of the range, bullish fall. And then we can have our absolute top here. And remember, what is the top signal on the market cycle? The weekly bearish divergence confirmed with the money flow and the momentum waves, all right? So be watching out. This will now be our fourth drive of bear div here, right? We had our first bearish div on the weekly here. We didn't take it seriously because of the money flow. Then we had our next drive here. We didn't take it seriously because we just know historically that we need to get that deep wave for that final blow off top. Now we're starting to see that final wave, okay? So, and of course, look, like I say, if we close the first week of June and it's bullish and we just dip down to 100,000 and bounce, disregard all this bearishness. But as we're watching the chart in real time, There are some warning flags here. There are some warning flags here. Okay, if we will talk like Arnold. Get into the chopper if you want to leave. Right? Let's see, we got a super chat in the house. Shout out to the Casper crew. Short setup given in advance from the exact top. Alright. And of course, we were looking for our first target at 105.8, which we hit. And we're currently now below. Alright. JasonCasperTrading.com to join the community. Shout out to Antarctic Exchange. Lowest fees. Period. And it's decentralized, so there's no risk of accounts getting hacked, frozen, stolen, any of that stuff. You keep everything on your own wallet. Changing the name of the game for derivatives futures trading. Got to give a shout out to BLOFIN. BLOFIN currently offering 20% cash back everything you deposit. $500 future bonus, multiple chances to win $100 giveaways even if you don't deposit. It's crazy. And a chance to win a Tesla Model 3. Wow. Imagine how cool you'd look driving a Tesla. Imagine how much your life would change with a Tesla. Teslas are like six-pack abs, alright? Imagine how much your life would change if you had six-pack abs right now. You'd be walking down the street. Everyone would be looking at you. And they just look at you like another normal person because you have a shirt on. No one can tell you have six-pack abs. Alright? Same deal. From far away, driving on the highway in your Tesla, people are like, what is that, a Toyota? I can't see. What is that? Does it have an exhaust pipe? I can't tell. I mean, imagine how much better your life would be with a Tesla. You know? Same with all these things. Imagine how much better your life would be with this chair. Alright? You sit down at your desk. Except now you have a different chair. Wow! Amazing. Sign up to BLOFIN. Link in the description. Alright? We got a super chat in the house right now. Shout out to Robert Harold. Is there any scenarios where Bitcoin tanks or ranges and altcoins take a huge run? Yeah. There is. I mean, we could even go back to last cycle. Right? Where, you know, in around the winter of 2021 leading up into 2022, we did see altcoins get a little bit more of a pump, right? If you remember that, after Bitcoin had already made its first dump. But I'm not sure if those altcoins hit all-time highs. I don't think any of the altcoins hit all-time highs. I just think compared to Bitcoin, they pumped a lot. And I think we saw a lot of small coins pump out of nowhere. So I would say we might not see the big ones pump. We can see some of those random little ones pumping. I don't know which ones they are. I'm never that guy, you know? How much better is your life without Tesla? Well, honestly, the smell of gasoline I like, you know, so when I'm sitting there pumping gas, I'm inhaling deeply, which does explain my personality here on the streams. And also, I think that's one of the main benefits of not having a Tesla. Does Antarctic share profits? No, they don't share profits. They share fees and liquidations. If you're trading on Antarctic, you own the exchange, you're a market maker. We all trade against each other, not the market makers. Alright, you acquired ETH at around 2,700. Would it be wise to sell now? I can't answer that question, unbox and reviews. I'll be honest with you. You're playing a dangerous game, man. I have never been one to be good with my spot trades like that mentality, okay? I have never been one to be good with my spot positions on that mentality. Because I cannot give you a good answer. Because like I said, if Bitcoin holds $100,000 and pumps, ETH is going to go up to 4,000. Alright? So right now, we can't know for sure. You might sell here and miss out on everything and sell in a loss. Right? You're basically gambling, saying, well, it might come down to here, so maybe I should sell. Not a good idea in my opinion. Also, not a good idea to buy at resistance. Right? It's not a good idea to buy at resistance. So I would say, if I were you, I would do nothing. I would just wait it out and never buy at resistance again. So like, you know, I used to try and do stuff like that when I first got into crypto, of like, let me sell now to buy back later. And I'm pretty sure just the very fact that I had those thoughts, sell now to buy back lower, caused me to lose money, right? I ended up selling at a low, and then it would pump without me, right? So for spot, I would always focus on timing it with the 4-year cycle. All right, the next time to be buying ETH, there was a rare opportunity back in this area to buy ETH. All right, it was a rare opportunity. I was pretty public about that, about how this is a major opportunity to buy at bear market prices. But now, I would say I would not buy any ETH again until next year. The fall of 2026, the summer and the fall of 2026 is the next time I would actually be buying ETH. And sadly, I never got an opportunity to sell any of my ETH because I'm looking for higher targets still. So, you know, I'm not even a good one to give you advice on that anyway, because even though I don't give financial advice, I myself bought ETH at around, let's say, 1,500. Give or take 13 to 1,500. Haven't sold any of it. Right? So. Also, just unbox and reviews a little tip, okay? You should never, ever, ever be buying spot crypto when Bitcoin is at a new all-time high above the previous market cycle high. You should never, ever, ever do that if you want to make money in crypto. If you want to lose money in crypto, buy altcoins while Bitcoin is holding above the previous market cycle top. Okay? Because when you're DCAing and Bitcoin's at all-time highs, you're not DCAing, you're buying the top. All right? DCA is when Bitcoin is changing market structure on the weekly and the monthly. And you know, based on history, that we're coming to the bottom of the cycle in relation to the halving, and everything's beat down to nothing. That's when you want to acquire altcoins, because there's not, how much more room is there to pump, right? But I will say this, ETH right now is printing a monthly green dot on market Cipher B. This potentially could be the signal that launches ETH back up to maybe even new all-time highs. All right. So I would not sell my ETH here. I would hodl it down. That's my personal way I would handle it. I'm not selling my ETH here, and I'm in for much lower. If it comes all the way down, then oh well, I'm hodling for the ride. Eventually it's going to pump, right? Eventually it's going to pump. But this could be the signal here on the monthly that gives us that big push, all right? Could be the monthly signal that gives us the big push. But just a general rule of thumb, all right? You could be the worst trader in the world, and I am. I'm the worst in the world, all right? But I have made a lot of money simply by buying low and selling high. And I know that sounds so stupid and cliche, but you have to think to yourself, you don't have to be very smart or good at trading to buy as we lose the key support in the bull market, and then sell as we make new all-time highs, okay? So this is why I stupidly, and people give me a lot of crap for it, and I don't care, I was buying Bitcoin irresponsibly under $20,000. Irresponsibly, okay? And then I start to sell at $60,000. I started to sell back here at the all-time high. I sold again at 80K. I sold again at 100K, all right? Why? Am I the best trader in the world? No. Obviously, people say, Jason, you're such an idiot. Why would you sell 60K? Well, I don't know. Maybe because I'm up 200%. I'm up 300%. I'm up 400%. Right? You don't have to be good to do that. Don't buy into the hype in the bull market. Bull markets are for selling, all right? Bull markets are not for buying. They are not for buying. I don't know why everyone wants to buy crypto in the bull market. Like, oh, it's a bull market. We should buy. No, you idiot. Not you. I'm not talking to you in the comments. But this mentality of buying after a pump or buying, it's like, look, you got to look at it this way. Every time you buy in an uptrend, you might be buying the top. If we're confirmed bearish market structure, you know you're not buying the top here. 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 You know it for certain. You know for certain. 100% you're not buying top. The top already happened, right? So bear markets are for buying. And bull markets are for taking profits, all right? You have an asset and it pumps hundreds of percent. You're taking some profit, right? You're selling your Bitcoin to someone who's buying the top, all right? But I should have been selling my alts, not Bitcoin. I round-tripped them. Well, I don't even care if I round-tripped my alts, which never hit new all-time highs. They never hit new all-time highs. For me, it's not worth. It's literally not worth selling my ETH at not an all-time high. It's just not even worth it for me, right? It's not even worth it for me. But I did sell my Bitcoin, and I'm happy I sold my Bitcoin. I don't regret selling. Even if we go up to $1 million this market cycle, I don't regret selling my Bitcoin. All right, because I've been able to do things in my real life with those profits, right? But yeah, if I had sold ETH at not the all-time high, it's just not worth it for me. You know, it's just not worth it for me. Yeah, you guys aren't idiots. I'm talking about the other idiots. I'm talking about people in my real life that hit me up and they're like, Jason, I kid you not, and I'm sure everybody who's into crypto has a similar situation where, like, you have these friends that don't really talk to you, right? But they're like acquaintances, and you used to be better friends, like in high school or whatever. They know you're into crypto, and they literally ask you, like, in these areas, like, should I buy? Should I buy? I got so many should I buys here. So many should I buys here. I got so many should I sells here. And I got even more should I sells here after FTX went down. From the same people who I got the should I buys, I said, no, you should not buy. Wait until the catastrophic collapse where you think crypto's over forever. And then those same people who ended up buying anyway sold here. I'm not even joking. It's the craziest thing. It's the craziest thing. So you gotta buy when it's hard and you gotta sell when it's hard. Because I'll tell you, it's hard to sell. Is it hard to sell my Bitcoin at 60K? Yeah. It's hard to sell here. It was hard for me to sell here. It was hard for me to sell at 80K. It's hard for me to sell here because it's so bullish. And everyone calls you stupid for selling. It's hard. And you think to yourself, well, what if it does go up to like 250,000? Or why not just wait until it's all at 100,000 to sell? It's because it's not guaranteed, right? It's like trading and investing. It's like one of those boardwalk games, right? Where you go in and there's like, they put you in like a little shower stall and you have like a certain amount of time to grab the dollar bills. You know what I'm saying? You guys know what I mean. Have you ever seen those? Or is it just me? Just gotta take what you can get and get out. Well, your 79-year-old neighbor asked if they should buy last week. Interesting. Shout out to Field States. Your family bought at 25K. That's what's up, man. Bought Bitcoin at 25K, sold at 85. That's what's up. That's what's up. That is what is up. What if Feds start cutting rates? Here's the thing. I am not a fundamental trader at all. if the Fed really starts cutting rates, maybe it will happen like this. Fed starts cutting rates as we lead into the fall or something, and then we get one big blow off top, right? But either way, I'm a believer in the 4-year cycle. I believe 2025 is it, all right? 2025 is going to be it. And then 2026, at the end of the year, is when I will be loading back up, all right? And I'm going to keep doing that until it doesn't work anymore, all right? I'm going to keep doing it until it doesn't work anymore. It's like lifting weights, man. Right now, I'm in a major strength phase, all right? I'm doing the high-intensity training, Mike Menser style. 1, 2 sets to failure, all right? And I'm making gains, baby. I'm making strength gains like crazy right now. But eventually, that's going to stop working because my body's going to get used to it, and I'm going to have to try something else. Same with the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, right? Right now, we got the high-volume trading. Not high-volume training, high-volume trading, right? The 4-year cycle is going to work until one time it doesn't, and then we got to change. But for right now, there's no reason to think that the halving cycle isn't going to keep working. Right? I mean, the supply of Bitcoin literally gets cut in half every 4 years. There's miners out there that got to be profitable, and they got to take profits. All this kind of stuff, right? I'm too stupid to understand it fully, but it works, right? It's like everything in life. I can't understand it, but it works. Pulling out at the right time is hard. That's why you gotta front run it, man. You gotta front run it, all right? You think the time is close, just front run it, man. That's what I do, at least. What do I think about Japan's economic collapse? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a fundamental trader. My dad asked me this too. What do you think the effect of wars and all this? I don't know, right? See, for me, I because I'm dumb and stupid, my brain can't handle all this stuff, right? So I just stick to the chart and the 4-year cycle, and I've had success with that. So if something ain't broke, don't fix it. If it stops working for me, then I'm gonna have to find something else, right? Yes, this bull run is way different in terms of alts. And that's the one thing that's keeping me kind of bullish on these higher time frames, right? Of like one last big pump. Because I just can't imagine ETH not hitting new all-time highs. But maybe we don't. That would be a big change, right? That would be a big change. Is James Wynn wrecked again? I don't know. Menser was way ahead of his time. Yeah. I guess. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't buy the whole Mike Menser philosophy. I think you got to switch it up. Like, has anyone honestly ever tried to do the Mike Menser style training only? You can't do that forever. You can't. You'll plateau. You'll hit a plateau. You have to periodize your training. I mean, unless you're a novice, you have to periodize your dang training. You know? In some way. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to feel like crap. Like, right now, I'm doing that Mike Menser kind of style, right? I'm taking a lot of rest days in between my lifts and all this. But when you're going that hard, man, I'm telling you, your body can only handle it so much, and you got to stop. You got to stop. You got to switch it up, high volume. Right? You're going to stop making gains. Your body adapts to it. You're going to start like hurting your joints. Right? And so the way I do it is I just stick to it until I stop making gains. Strength gains. Right? So I'm still making strength gains. I've been doing this since April now. So I think maybe I have another week or two left. I just feel it. Every time I hit into the gym and I'm hitting these new PRs, we're just going to keep it up. UK declare war on Russia. Is that true? Does the UK even have an army anymore? I don't know. I know that the Crown of England like controls Canada and a whole bunch of other countries. But do they even have an army? I don't even know. Isn't that crazy? It's how much of an American I am. Does the UK have an army? I don't know. What do I like better, a gym pump or a Bitcoin pump? That's a tough question, bro. Have to say, in the moment, the gym pump feels better. Nothing's better than a gym pump. Wow, Bitcoin's pumping. All right. Mike Messer Training works if you're on special vitamins. Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. Or maybe some people just have better recovery than me, all right? Maybe my recovery sucks, but, you know, like on Wednesday, right? It's been almost a week. I did a set of deadlifts. 500 pounds for a set of 4, all right? One set of 4, 500 pounds. And, there's no way I'll be able to do that on this next Wednesday, right? There's no way. I'm still not recovered. I can even still feel it. And my body is not recovered from that, right? So, you have to choose now. Do I either, like, work out once every 2 weeks? And the reality is, man, if you're working out that little, I don't think you're going to be jacked. You might be strong, but you're not going to be jacked. You know? You got to find that sweet spot, man. You got to find that sweet spot. Do I take magnesium glycinate? Actually, yes, I do, dear K2. UK has James Bond. You're right. You're right. What do I think about the fact that no traditional top signals actually flashed? Well, Jackhead's family, I'm not saying the top is in. I'm saying the top is definitely near. Market Cipher is showing us the top is near, but Market Cipher has not flashed the signal either. All right? Has not flashed the signal either. So we're hoping for that last big old pumperoni and queso. You know? Shout out to Mike Colty. Shout out to Benedict. Tell us about the trading journey. I do have a video about it. It's called, like, Trading Ruined My Life or something. Yeah, shout out to Steve-O Charts. Yeah, that's 100% true, man. It's 100% true. Yeah. Do I look at Pi Cycle? I don't, but you know what? Maybe I'll take a look. But guys, I actually have to head out, right? So God bless everyone in Jesus' name. And in an hour, we're going to be live in the Casper Crew VIP Discord to go over our low time frame trade setups. So if you're interested in low time frame analysis and the day trades that we give in the Casper Crew, like this, and like this, go to jasoncaspertrading.com, click the link where myself and 3 other instructors every single day, multiple times a day, are doing the low time frame live analysis. All right, God bless you, everybody. And I'll see you next time. Peace.